It's not just a checkbox, you know, it's not just a box to check. It's part of our life. It's part of our whole existence.
I want to jump into just renewing ourselves in this new year spiritually and what that really looks like for us, because I feel like we can kind of get into this slump of, you know, after the holidays, we've been so busy, and it often seems like the busyness can overwhelm us, but it can also overtake us. And so I'd like Noah actually to kind of jump on this first and talk about how we as Christians can renew ourselves in our walks with the Lord and then pass that on to our kids.
Yeah, definitely. That's where it all starts, right? Is with the Lord. Like everything surrounds that. And if you don't have your foundation right, then everything else is probably going to at some point fall apart. I think for us, the phrase that comes back to me a lot is having a family altar. It's kind of an old phrase, but it's like, you know, a family is the most basic unit before God. And to have that altar just means that, you know, we remember Him and everything that we do. We remember that we owe it all to Him. You know, our salvation is through Christ, and He provides for us. He watches over us. He protects us. And so we want to bring Him those first fruits of our dedication, of our, our resources, our time. And that starts with us individually, because I have to be walking with the Lord, you know, daily, and Elizabeth has to be walking with the Lord daily. And, you know, we can keep each other accountable to a certain extent, but, you know, if we don't have that desire first and foremost to be walking with Him and to beginning to know the Lord more in a deeper way, you know, it's an up and down journey. It can be, but we have to remember who we love the most, and that's Christ.
Noah, I love that you said that, because as I was thinking about this, the thing that I was thinking, you know, first and foremost is our relationship with the Lord, which is exactly what you just said, you know, reading our Bible, spending time daily, not just when it's convenient or when we find the time, because that time never comes, but being diligent to read our Bibles daily, spend time in prayer, and grow in our relationship with the Lord. Because if we're not doing that, we can't pass that on to our kids. And just giving Him our first fruits, like you said, I mean, we don't want to give Him the rest of us, you know, at the end of the day, when our heads are hitting the pillow and we're just so exhausted and we have a little tiny bit left to read one or two verses, but really just digging into God's word.
Right.
And sometimes that looks like that means doing it with our kids. You know, Elizabeth, I would love for you to jump into this as well and talk about how you, as a busy mom with 5 kids, and you've got 2-year-old twins, I can't imagine how busy you are. How do you find the time to nurture your relationship with the Lord on a daily basis?
Yeah, there's an ebb and flow, and there's different seasons where, you know, with 5 children, you go through newborn seasons where you're up 4 to 5 times a night, and it's not realistic to wake up before your kids, because when you wake up, they're already awake. Yeah. And so you really have to find those moments. And like you said, including your children in your time with the Lord, and even including them as a part of your time with the Lord. Sometimes that's what it looks like. I love being able to wake up and open my Bible first thing in the morning. It absolutely sets the tone for the rest of the day. I can feel you're feeding yourself, and then you can therefore pour into your children. It just sets the day off on a completely different path. But I am very, very passionate about also teaching our children what it is that we're reading, and letting them understand the why, not just this is what we believe, but this is why we believe it, and really involving them in Bible time on a daily basis, reading the word, learning hymns, is a huge part for me. I love teaching my children hymns because they're so rich, and verse memorization, things like that, where you're also learning at the same time. We've been reading this children's Bible for the last 2 years, and I've been pretty consistent with it. And I've learned so much, even just from this children's Bible that is teaching my kids. And it's amazing the things that they even retain. Like we'll be talking to them about stuff and they'll be like, oh yeah, that's what happened. And we're like, whoa, like that's amazing that you remember that. They really, really like hide these things in their heart and they remember them and they recall them. And so I just, it's not just a checkbox, you know, it's not just a box to check. It's part of our life. It's part of our whole existence.
Totally. I also think being able to do that with your kids, I mean, the two different things. One, doing it with your kids, it really gets us back to the basics as well. Like sometimes we have to preach the gospel to ourselves again. You know, we get so far in our walk, and to be able to go back, like you said, and read that children's Bible with the kids, it just brings us, it kind of strips it all down and brings us back to the story too. It's a blessing to do. And I also, I don't have little kids like you do anymore. Mine are a little bit older, but I really felt like in that season, it was like the fish and the loaves. Like God knew the amount of time that I had, that 5 minutes, and he really blessed it, you know? And I think that moms with young kids need to not feel that guilt of, I'm not getting my hour before the kids get up. You know, God looks at the heart, and when we're seeking him and when we're giving him what we can with the time that we have, he's going to grow that, and the fruit's going to grow from that. So I really like that you said that. It looks different in each season for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not, you know, we think of quiet time as quiet. My quiet time is never quiet. I have often multiple children at my feet or needing things. And the Lord, like you said, he sees it, and he knows our hearts, and he knows that we are giving what we have. And it's just, it's a heart posture of coming to his feet and giving him our day, even with little ones around. And what a model that they can see us. I still remember growing up seeing my mom kneeling at her bed, having her quiet time. And that's something that's imprinted. And I just, you know, that's something that I want my children to remember as well.
Homeschool Insights is sponsored by CTC Math. If you're looking for a great online math program, visit ctcmath.com and try it for free. For more great homeschool inspiration and resources, listen to the Schoolhouse Rocked Podcast every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday.